Hello and welcome back to the Hazzabhajan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time for the continuation, the long-awaited recontinuation of the football alphabet series as we move into the letter X. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, X was undoubtedly the most difficult one so far, and will probably be the most difficult letter of the entire series, because well, there isn't really much for the letter X, as much as I hate to say it. As a result of this dearth of options, I've had to bring the players and the clubs together into one video because, well, otherwise the video would be about 5 minutes and not really worthwhile. So what I've done is I've come up with 3 clubs whose name begins with X and 2 players whose name or surname begins with X. This won't be the case for future episodes, and we will revert back to one episode for the clubs beginning with a certain letter, and then another episode for the players whose surnames begin with a certain letter. But as I say, I didn't really have much choice for the letter X, so
you're gonna have to bear with me.
If you go on to enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the like button so hard that it breaks everything that you have. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and comment with what you think as well. Without further ado, let's get into the club section of the video. Club number 1, Jerez CD. Based in Andalusia, Jerez were originally called Sociedad Jerez Football Club and were founded by Sir Thomas Spencer, who worked for a winery. Jerez actually means sherry in Spanish, so the links are quite clear. They went through a few name changes, but ended up with Jerez Club Deportivo, spelt with a J. But mercifully for the purposes of this video, they changed it to be spelled with an X during the 1960s. In the 1940s, they were denied promotion in place of Udi España, who were promoted instead as a result of the dictatorial government's will for a high national interest, but made it to the second tier eventually in 1954, spending 5 seasons there before they were relegated. They didn't make waves in the Spanish game until the 2000s, when they consistently challenged for promotion to the top tier, but never quite achieved it. But in 2009, their dream finally came true, as they won the Segunda Division to reach the promised land of La Liga for the first time in their history. Their stay would be short-lived though, being relegated in last place after just 1 season, before financial meltdown led them to return to the 3rd tier in 2013, and they were on the verge of liquidation before they were eventually sold by their incumbent owner. Outraged, the fans created a new club, Jerez Deportivo, but the 2 clubs almost merged together in 2015 after both sets of boards of directors voted in favour of it. Although as a result of the fans voting against this decision, the clubs remained independent of each other, and still do to this day. Unfortunately, more financial issues set the club down to the 5th tier, and they now reside in the 4th tier, a far cry from their La Liga days of 2009-2010. The most famous person I can find associated with the club is the former Real Madrid manager Bernd Schuster, who managed the club between 2001 and 2003. Club number 2, Xanthi. Another club who would have been ineligible for this video if it weren't for a name change, Xanthi FC were actually named Skoda Xanthi until 2016, after the club's owner during the 1990s, Christos Panopoulos, was responsible for importing Skoda cars into Greece, but that particular partnership ended in 2016, so the club reverted back to just Xanthi, which is great because it means I have a club to talk about in this video. Formed in 1967 after a merger of Aspida and Orpheus Xanthi, they came together as one in order to bring success to the region. However, they remained in the Beta Ethniki, the 2nd tier of Greek football as it was known at the time, barring a few seasons in the 3rd tier, until 1989, when they finally won promotion to the Alpha Ethniki, now known as the Greek Super League, where they have remained ever since. Despite this, although perhaps unsurprisingly as a result of Olympiakos and Panathinaikos' hegemony over the Greek game, they still haven't won the top tier, although they haven't even won the Greek Cup either, coming closest in 2015 when they finished runners-up to Olympiakos. But they have some stories to go alongside this lack of success, which you might be surprised to hear. They enticed Howard Kendall, the former manager of Everton, to join the club in 1994, albeit he left later that year. And they finished 4th in 2004 to 2005, which is their highest position to date, with a move to a new stadium beckoning, which Pele, yes, that one, opened. Unfortunately, they were deducted 12 points this season as a result of some complications from their joint ownership with Palka, meaning that they face a relegation playoff this week to preserve their place in the Greek top flight. Club number 3, Jalaju MC. If I didn't say we were going obscure this week, we really are now. We take our first trek into North and Central America with Club Social y Deportivo Jalaju Mario Camposeco, which is a mouthful and didn't take me 1 try to get right. But they are better known simply as Jalaju MC. They added the name of Mario Camposeco to their team name during the 1950s, as he was the captain of the club during an era of winning 10 consecutive regional titles during the 1940s, but he tragically died in a plane crash in 1951, so Jalaju paid tribute to him by adding his name to theirs. With a ram on their badge, they have become the most successful team in the Guatemalan League who don't play in the capital city, Guatemala City, as they have won 5 national titles to date. Their first came in 1962 and their latest 2 were in 2007 and 2012. The National Cup has also been brought to Hazzabhajan 3 times in 1963, 1973 and 2010. The latest season saw them finish 9th in the top tier of Guatemalan football, the Liga Nacional, and only one of their players has a Wikipedia page, the Canadian goalkeeper David Montslav. So yeah, you can tell how obscure it was this week. Now we move into the player segment of the video, which again I can only find like 2 really high profile players to talk about. There are a couple of others who I maybe could have mentioned, but I limit myself to 5 per video, and so you only have 2 players this week. I apologise. Player number 1, Xavi. Finally, something that's top tier. Born in 1980 in Terrassa, Catalonia, Xavi Hernandez normally just goes by Xavi, so I'm featuring him here. He joined La Masia at the age of 11 and would remain at Barcelona until 2015 when he moved to Qatar to play for and then eventually manage Al Sadd, winning the league in 2019 and the cup in 2017. In between, he became the greatest Spanish player of all time. Some feats. His low centre of gravity, agility and dexterity on the ball allowed him to keep it under challenge despite his diminutive frame, and his passing ability was perhaps unrivaled by anyone when he was in his prime. He constantly looked for space for players to run into, before picking them out with a delicious pass through to the runners. He wouldn't get a plethora of assists or score many goals, only scoring 85 in 767 games for Barcelona, but that wasn't his role. His role was predominantly the metronome, the player who made Barcelona tick, and the embodiment of the tiki-taka philosophy embedded in the club, or at least until recently. He made his debut in 1998, and by 2001 he was a mainstay in the Barcelona side. He was a pivotal figure in turning around the club's fortunes, from just about qualifying for the Champions League in 2001 to winning it by 2006. Under Pep Guardiola's reign, Xavi was in his prime, winning everything on offer to him in the year of 2009, and 2011 would herald yet another Champions League triumph, as well as in 2015, in what turned out to be his final appearance for the club. In all, he won 8 La Ligas, 4 Champions Leagues and 3 Copa del Reys, as well as the Euros in 2008 and 2012, and the World Cup in 2010 for Spain, when his club's era of dominance tied in with his nation's era of dominance. Truly an outstanding player, and someone to liven up this video. Player number 2, Granit Xhaka. And now we come shooting straight back down to earth again. Born in 1992 in Basel to an Albanian family, Granit Xhaka chose to represent Switzerland, unlike his brother Toland, who turned out from his family's country of heritage. They faced each other at Euro 2016, which must have been very interesting for the family dynamic when Granit's Switzerland won 1-0 and he was voted man of the match. He joined Basel's academy aged 10 and he made his debut in 2010 at the age of 18. Impressing with his technical ability and cannon of a left foot, questions of his temperament didn't seem to deter Gladbach, who signed him in 2012. He became captain in 2015 after not missing a league game all season as Gladbach qualified for the Champions League, and he was voted into the Bundesliga team of the season, which sparked interest from big clubs. And Arsenal were the ones to snap him up in 2016, and he scored a crackerjack of a goal against Hull a few games into his time with the Gunners. But then, problems arose. He's been made a scapegoat by some sections of the ever volatile Arsenal crowd, with some praising him for his tackling ability, but then a lot of others calling him slow, ineffective, and too aggressive for the club. Regardless, he was made club captain in 2019 by Unai Emery, but merely a month into his tenure, tensions reached boiling point between him and the fans, and he was stripped of the armband after angrily responding and gesturing to Arsenal fans who cheered as he was substituted during a match against Crystal Palace. The amazing thing was that the Arsenal fans somehow took umbrage to Xhaka's actions, despite being the ones who were roundly abusing and booing him, and also sending death threats to Xhaka's wife. Some people these days. Under Mikel Arteta, thankfully, he has enjoyed a renaissance, and he won his second FA Cup at the start of the month as a reward for his improved form. That just about concludes today's video. Thank you very much for watching. We will be back, of course, to continuing on with W and the clubs, and of course a separate episode for the players at some point, probably next week. Thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'll see you then.